Now, before we get started, I would really love it if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get the latest content from the YouTube channel, The Last Rewind. And don't be shy about leaving your comments at the bottom of the page because you are the sole reason why this channel will be successful. Thank you. All right, welcome to The Last Rewind, impromptu show with me, Big Red, and Tremaine, because we're going to deal with this news that came out with Dallas. I don't know if it's much news. Well, it's always news. It's not good news, at least in my opinion, and I'll hear from Tremaine in just a second. The Dallas Cowboys, the most popular franchise in all of America, North America, and probably the world, has hired a new coach after letting Mike McCarthy slip through the fingers and possibly going to a new football team. Don't know where he's going to go, but I hear there are people aspiring to get him on their side to be the head coach. Jerry Jones, through a lot of thought and contemplation, has looked high and low to find the best candidate for the Dallas Cowboys to carry him into the next stratosphere of his era or his tenure as the Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager. He looked high and low and he found offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. I can't just say the name all the way because it makes me laugh. Brian Schottenheimer, the guy who was the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, who struggled to get in the end zone, but also this little tidbit, and I know you already know, Tremaine, he was not even the person who was calling the offense in 23 and 2024. Tremaine. I can't help but laugh because it hurts so much. I can't. Most people are probably crying and in pain and taking pain medication and drinking to help deal with this if they're Dallas Cowboys fans. Jermaine, what do you have to think? What do you have to say about this new hire of Brian Schottenheimer?
Brian Schottenheimer. When it comes to news about the Cowboys, I'm getting numb. I'm getting numb to everything because it's never good news. I'm getting numb. I mean, Jerry gave Deion Sanders a phone call. Yeah, all right, you gave him a call. That's to keep us on edge until you make your decision. Pete Carroll. He said, I read that there was talk of Pete Carroll coming aboard. Ex Seattle Seahawks coach who is now going to the Raiders. Jim Harbaugh. There was talk, but like I said, man, I'm numb. I'm getting numb to any Dallas Cowboy news, especially in the offseason. And things are gonna get, I would say, worse. But then we got the draft. Here's what I think about Brian Schottenheimer and everything. I cannot echo what you said because everything you just said is true. Didn't call the plays past 2 years because Mike McCarthy did. He basically had a role on the Cowboys prior to him becoming the head coach. He was basically a liaison, if you will, to McCarthy. I don't know. I mean, we didn't make the playoffs this year. Our arch rivals are playing tomorrow in the NFC Championship. So let's put that into perspective.
Nightmare.
We're going into next season with a rookie head coach because he has never been a head coach. He's been a coordinator. He's had one coaching interview throughout his entire career. Didn't get the job.
Who was that with?
I don't recall. I don't recall. I want to say maybe the Chargers. I could be wrong. But I know throughout his entire 20-year plus career, He's had one interview for a head coach position. He's been a coordinator throughout throughout times in his career, through different teams. Um, what people don't know is his daddy is Marty Schottenheimer, decent coach back in the 90s, early 2000s, maybe even late 80s. The highlight of his career is he is in the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame. He did some damage there, Marty Schottenheimer. But I don't know where we go with Brian Schottenheimer as the coach. What every Cowboy fan does know, this is Jerry's next puppet. This is Jerry's next go-to man. Yes, sir. No, sir. Can I do that for you, sir? That's who Brian Schottenheimer is or is about to become. Is he gonna have control of this team? Absolutely not. Hell, Dak and Michael Parsons is gonna have more control than him. But this is the culture that we're in, man, with the Dallas Cowboys. You go from sugar to shit. And in this case, shit to shit, because last year was bad, and I said there's no way we can get worse, but I may have to eat my words on that. I may have to.
You may have to.
We can get worse, and I lost my train of thought. But what I was going with the fact that we now have Philly and Washington playing for the NFC Championship. One of them is going to the Super Bowl. That pains me to say.
That's also shit to shit. Like, wow, you can't win. You can't win. And unfortunately in the playoffs, you can't end in a tie. I would hope they can, but no, you can't. Somebody got to go home.
Somebody got to go home. Someone is going on. And I was rooting for the Rams or Detroit, and I was like, one of them got it, and nothing happened. So one of them is going to the playoffs. But one of them is going to the Super Bowl. But here's the thing. Our rivals are looking better than they've ever looked, especially Washington. And we are going into next season with a rookie head coach who doesn't know little to anything about being a coach. We got to rely on sheer talent to even get above 500 next season.
We're going in the direction of the Giants.
Maybe at some point, maybe an easy schedule, which I don't think we're going to have.
We may get a break because we had such a bad year this year. We may get a break. And NFL schedule makers may be like, okay, they had a rough year last year, so let's give them a break. But, like I said,
but what you know is we at least coming across Philly 2 times, Washington 2 times.
Yeah.
That may be 4 losses. and then the Giants may sneak one in there, depending on what they do in the offseason. I don't know, man. Brian Schottenheimer, I give him a shot. I guess we got no choice but to give him a shot, see what he can do. But at the least, you know what we can say about Mike McCarthy? He had a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you go from sugar to shit in your estimations there. At least we had a guy who was in the Super Bowl and carried his team to the playoffs. He won the ultimate trophy for a Super Bowl, for an NFL team. We have nothing to go off of for Brian Schottenheimer. Well, all we have to go off of is Mike McCarthy's like, you know what? Yeah, I don't think you're good enough to relinquish my ability for calling plays for offense. So why don't you just take a seat over there and teach Dak how to throw the football? I'm going to be the main OC. You just sit over there and, play nice with Dak. And that's another part you got to add to the mix. He was helping Dak with his offensive capabilities or lack thereof. And from what I heard, Jerry Jones wants some a continuum for him to, not have to go through a whole new offense, so he doesn't have to start over and be confused for the next season, because he looks confused the last 2 seasons. I mean, despite not last year, but the 23 season, he had an okay year. I'll give him that. But, towards the end, started looking a little fishy. And then this year, him and CeeDee Lamb were looking lost. They're arguing with each other on the field about where one was supposed to be at, where the balls were to go at. So I don't know. I don't think that's an encouragement just because he has a continuum. I mean, you just got to be a good quarterback. You got to be a leader among men, and you got to tell your player where they're supposed to go and practice too. CeeDee Lamb going to have to practice more this year. I know he's got his contract, so he doesn't worry about missing preseason games, and maybe that was somewhat the fault going in the first couple games, but after a while, especially if you've already played with him 2 to 3 years, you guys should have some sort of rapport with each other to know where to be on the field. I mean, the plays didn't change, so I'm not sure why all of a sudden there was no rapport with them. I don't know, but I'm trying to find some sort of glimmer of hope that I don't have a glimmer of hope for a Super Bowl, but a glimmer of hope that will make the playoffs next year. I don't know if I have that at all with this guy coming in.
Perhaps save that glimmer until April-ish when we go through the draft. Perhaps, just perhaps, we can have a decent enough draft to overcome the detriment that Brian Schottenheimer is about to cause. What I do know about Brian Schottenheimer, and I did my little bit of research since he was announced. Just like his dad, Marty Schottenheimer, he runs a very conservative offense. Very conservative, very hand the ball off, first down, hand the ball off. Hope you get 5 yards to set you up for a good 2nd and 5. The past couple of years, Dallas under Mike McCarthy's play calling have not been that conservative. They've been more free, more liberal, and that's going to be the difference between their play calling. Schottenheimer's going to run a very conservative offense. It may work depending on who we play, but it's not the same NFL to the point where you're necessarily punting on 4th down. He runs a 3-down offense and he's punting on 4th. No matter where they are on the field, he's punting on 4th. He runs the opposite of a Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, he depending on where they are, he's debating on punting because he wants to go for it. Brian Schottenheimer is not going for it on 4th down. So therefore, you got to get the first. They're gonna have to get the first down and stay ahead of the sticks on 1st and 2nd down and 3rd, because he is not a 4-down go for it coach. That is going to be the detriment. That is one of the detriments that we're going to fall prey of. Secondly, as you alluded to, there's Dak. Aligning with the conservativeness, Dak is still not going to run, but that plays into part with Schottenheimer's play calling. He's not going to be as free with the quarterback. We're not going to get Jayden Daniels from Dak next year. Granted, age may play a part. Jayden's younger. But Dak isn't going to be as free as a Mahomes and Daniels or Lamar or even Jalen Hurts at times. They're going to structure this offense to be a very conservative one. And I believe that is going to that's going to bite us in the butt. At the least, I could say in a losing effort, Mike McCarthy had some balls at times.
Well, I agree with everything you just said. I'm looking somewhat to the future, and here's what I got to say about that. The biggest problem, what we've already said, is Jerry Jones, and with nepotism. I guess maybe with his son, Stephen Jones. I don't know if I can really give him, credit for this hire. I'm not sure which one hired who. I'm sure Jerry Jones was the last one to put the stamp of approval on it. But now with nepotism, and again, I have no problem with nepotism if you have a qualified person in that position. But that's what nepotism usually doesn't do. You put somebody there because you favor to them because they're your family member. Now, something else just crept in here. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if you heard. Cronyism has crept into the mix. Cronyism because Brian Schottenheimer may be set up to fail Well, there's no doubt about it, but for a different reason. Now I'm hearing Jason Witten could be the assistant coach. And so Brian Schottenheimer may not get much of a chance, like McCarthy and Garrett had years to work with Dallas teams. He may be gone pretty soon, so Jason Witten can go ahead and assume the duties as a head coach, which I think his only experience is with a high school team, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken on that. So again, set up the fact he has no credentials, he has no experience. So even further into the future, this is almost like what was Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips was a guy that was he was assistant coach, I think, with Bill Parcells. And then when Bill left, then Wade Phillips took the helm. And I mean, we had some decent, okay years with Wade Phillips. I don't think I would put that pedigree with the same with Jason Witten. I don't know. But with someone with no experience at all, just like this Brian Schottenheimer guy, besides being somewhat of a quarterback coach, and he did have some offensive coordinating teams in years past, but none as a head coach, and no one's ever seriously considered him to be a head coach on a team. It seems like 5, 10 years, 15, maybe even 20 years more of failure is set up for Dallas.
Let me ask you a question before I reply. Do you know how many years he signed on to be coach, his contract, Schottenheimer?
That's a good question. No, I don't.
So depending on how long,
I don't think he's signed on the dotted line yet. He's just been, unofficially. Yeah.
So a lot of what you said is pending on how many years they're giving him as head coach. If they're giving him a 1-year contract, you are absolutely right. He's being set up to fail because whomever they're bringing in as his assistant they're probably grooming, especially if it's Witten. Witten is a hometown boy. He's good with the Joneses. Let's say for shits and giggles they want to go Romo. That's not going to happen because Romo's not leaving the announcing. But therein lies they're setting him up for failure because if it's a 1-year contract, Jerry knows what he's doing. I need a coach. Jerry Jones can't do it all. You can't own the team, be the general manager, and be out there coaching. You got to hire someone to at least play the role of coach. We all know that he's going to actually do it. But how long he's going to sign on to be coach is very important to the Dallas Cowboys' future. Because if he's not, if it's not for the long haul, yeah, they're setting him up for failure. And I hate to say that they may try to tank the upcoming season, but who knows? But he's definitely not going to be. He's not going to be around long if they already have someone else in mind. It's just like when you in WWE, we both watch WWE. You have that champion, then you have that one champion who's just holding the belt for the next guy. That's who Brian Schottenheimer is going to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I think you're right on that. Well, if there is anything to glimmer from this, they say that maybe some good news. Maybe the DC coach, Matt Eberflus, he may be a little bit of good news that we may have. Oh no, he was the Chicago Bears former DC. I don't know if you know much about him.
Vaguely, I do know he's signing on. I don't know much about him.
Well, they had a pretty good defense. I'll say that. When he was with the Chicago Bears. Now I don't think they were that good with, let me see what I got wrote down. I had to get some notes on this. Let's see. They were particularly strong in the pass rush. They created a lot of turnovers. Let's see. I don't know how good they were. Let's see. Key errors. Okay. They were good in passing yards, allowed turnovers, red zone defense. That's something we definitely need. Red zone defense. We definitely need red zone offense. I don't know if we're going to get that.
That goes back to Schottenheimer.
Yeah. They improved a lot during the second half of the season for the Bears, not so much in the first half. I know they had that big flub versus the Washington Commanders this year, so that probably doesn't make them look too good. But overall, given the team they had, the Bears defense was not too bad. If they kept him, they were going to be a defense really to be reckoned with, especially if they can improve their offense. But now he's in our hands, so maybe that's a bright spot for us.
Well,
as long as we're not injured the whole year.
That and injuries was a downfall. And let's say, yeah, he's a decent defensive coordinator. It'll be exactly like this year. Well, let me put it'll be exactly like this past year once Michael Parsons came back from injury. Once Michael Parsons came back from injury this year, our defense sparked up a bit, but the offense got to score, or the defense just gonna stay on the field and get tired. So at that point, the defense has to be damn near outstanding to overcome what we think. And I'm going to say think Brian Schottenheimer is going to bring to the offensive side of the ball. Now, if we are all misled and Schottenheimer is doing everything the opposite of what we're saying, we're going to be pleasantly surprised. But we know how, if history repeats itself, we know how this story ends. Missing the playoffs or a wild card exit.
Well, the main thing I gather from this is Jerry's only doing this because Jerry knows we're still going to buy into the product. We're still going to sell out the stadiums. If he didn't have people buying into the merchandise and buying the sold out tickets for Dallas Stadium, I don't think he would go in this direction. But he doesn't care. He said, I'm still going to get paid. I got all the chips in Vegas. I can't lose. So why would I do something different if I'm still going to be a billionaire off of this? So, I can blame Jerry, but it's kind of our faults too. We keep accepting this behavior from him, and he's just going to continue. We're rewarding the behavior, rewarding the bad behavior. If you ever had a child act up and they're, with an attitude and they're talking back, but you give them their favorite dessert for every dinner that they have, why would the child change? Why would Jerry change, especially at 80 years old? When most people at that age, they're setting their ways. Hell, I'm probably setting my ways now. So why would Jerry set, especially when you got $1 billion in the bank? Why would he change? I wouldn't change if I had $1 billion. So why would he change?
He's not going to change. He's a very smart man. He is.
Yeah.
He knows what he has, and he knows how to work what he has. He knows that we're longing. He knows that the fan base for the Cowboys is longing for a Super Bowl. He knows even without a Super Bowl, we're still going to watch the games. He knows people who hates the Cowboys are going to watch the Cowboys.
Exactly.
That's another element to it. The loyal fans are going to watch the game, but even the haters are going to watch the game. And Jerry just smiles and grins on that all the way to the bank. Dallas will be on. Most of their games is going to be on TV next season. They'll probably have a couple prime time. The NFL and the networks kind of started coming along to the fact that Dallas is having a piss poor season, and we may wipe them off this prime time slot. But that happened this past season. But they just played at 12 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. They were still on TV. And that was against Philly. That was the Philly game.
Yeah.
The second Philly game.
Yeah, but what are we gonna do, man? Shoot, next year, like I said, does not look promising. So, I'm gonna start watching the Dallas Stars. That's hockey. I'm gonna start watching them. Maybe they'll do me more proud. I don't know what their record is the last ever. I don't know anything about hockey, so I'm not gonna get that. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. They made the finals last year, so maybe I'll check out. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Yeah, that's something to check out.
Anything in Dallas, Fort Worth, Dallas area is going to be worth checking out. But the Cowboys next season, and they got there's some kind of documentary on Netflix that's going to come on about Jerry Jones before the season, right?
Oh Lord, about his
Yeah.
career and such.
I don't know
No,
if
I
it's
didn't know that.
I don't know if it's more so Jerry Jones or the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's more so Jerry Jones, which is basically the damn Dallas Cowboys. But it's going to be on Netflix within the months to come, probably leading up before the season starts.
Knowing
But
Jerry,
that's
he's
just
going
how
to.
Jerry Jones stays relevant,
Yeah,
man. He knows how to marketing genius. I give him that. Man, just he knows what he's doing.
yeah. He can market you to keep watching when the product is garbage. You know, that's what infomercials do. I bet you this documentary, one of the documentaries, he's going to have them stop it at the year 95 and no show nothing else. But like, wow, this team is actually good, man. What happened after 95? Cuts off, fades to black.
It was the year, I want to say after 95, I want to say year 1997 was a downhill. I don't know if you remember this. 1997, Dallas lost in the playoffs to the Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Sanders got injured in that game. And Michael Irvin either got injured in the game or injured before the game. And Troy Aikman just started to look like a shell of himself in that game. That was a playoff game. It was to the Carolina Panthers. Kerry Kittles won that game. And
Kerry
to
Collins.
me, that was the start of this whirlwind of disappointment within the Dallas Cowboys. That was in 97. Prior year, 96, we won Super Bowl against the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that was the start of it all. And Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer was still the coach.
Yeah, he had leftovers from the Jimmy era.
He did. Barry Switzer was like, to me, he was like Steve Kerr before Steve Kerr.
Well, at least he was a very successful coach in Miami. Or was it Miami? Was it Miami? He was, yeah. So he had a pedigree there, kind of like an Urban Meyer or something like that. He had a pedigree that said, "Oh, this guy might be able to translate to the NFL." But yeah, that was leftovers from the Jimmy era, which Jimmy Johnson let go because why? Because I didn't get enough credit. The same thing that dethroned the Chicago Bulls: not age, not defeat from a better opponent, ego. Ego is what destroyed the Bulls, and ego is what has destroyed the Cowboys for a quarter of a century.
And I saw on one of the sports debate shows, I think it was Colin Hurd. He said this. He said the Lakers would be the Cowboys if it wasn't for Kobe and LeBron. The Lakers have they've always had stars that kind of overshadowed because Lakers is like the Cowboys. It's a family-owned, operated business.
Yes, the Buss family.
Like, if it wasn't for Kobe and LeBron, the Lakers would be just as much of a disappointment like the Cowboys. Cowboys haven't had a Kobe and LeBron type star. Dak is not Kobe or LeBron. If we're comparing, Zeke wasn't. No one has been the star. That's who Deion Sanders would have been, although he was the coach. That's who Deion Sanders would have been. Deion Sanders would have been your Kobe or your LeBron for the Lakers in comparison to the Cowboys. And that would have been the star that makes this disappointment looks. You will be able to at least shine up the disappointment and make it look pleasable to some degree. Cowboys have never had that.
I can agree with that, but on one, I think the Lakers, for what they want to be, have still been a disappointment. Kobe was the one that maintained it after Shaq left or was kicked out of town. Kobe maintained it, but there were some bad years when Kobe, the Achilles tear, he never was the same again, and they want to remain loyal. Which I can appreciate that they remain loyal to the team. To the player, but they weren't faithful to the team. They weren't loyal to the team. And they could have easily shipped Kobe out and brought in maybe some other talent or grew him up and bring them back to championship prominence. But they, remain Kobe, and they had some bad years up until when Kobe retired. Then they got LeBron, and to me, contrary to popular belief, I think the Lakers have been a disappointment. Yes, they got a championship, but it was that Mickey Mouse COVID championship. And other than that,
they won that in-season tournament. Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, another disappointment. Yeah, and it means absolutely nothing when it comes to seeding. When it comes to the playoffs, they've been put out in the first round. They had a one Western Conference appearance versus the Nuggets, who swept them. They've been a major disappointment, and they've got two of the top 75 players of all time on the team. A defensive player of the year candidate with Anthony Davis, LeBron, still playing at a high level. They've had a good team, but they have not been a championship team. But for that 1 year when LeBron went to the COVID championship, I would call that a major disappointment, especially when you got a person who's compared as 1 or 2 or 3 in the GOAT conversation, and you still have barely making the playoffs every year. You're fighting for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th seed, and you're getting put out in the first round. I think that's been a major disappointment.
But until that point, Cowboys and Lakers are the topic for every sports debate. After the Super Bowl, it's all Lakers. After the Super Bowl, it's all Lakers going into these
first
sports
round
debate shows, and then circle it right around to the Cowboys when the football season starts.
Yeah,
and it's to the point where, and I say that because they are the two major brands that people want to watch, that people who don't want to watch, they're going to watch because they want to see them lose.
Yeah.
And to me, the star of the Dallas Cowboy organization is Jerry Jones. And that's how he wants it.
Yeah.
It ain't Dak. It damn sure ain't Zeke, who probably won't even be playing in the NFL this season. This upcoming season, rather. It ain't Michael Parsons. It never was Romo.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a threat of it with T.O. when T.O. was there. T.O. had a little bit of a shine.
That's why he had to get out, probably. You think about it.
T.O. had a little bit of a shine. So T.O., like you just said, it was a little bit of a threat with T.O. because T.O. was outshining Jerry. He was starting to outshine Jerry a bit. But you and I both know Dion would have outshined Jerry, and that was a no-go.
Yeah. Jerry Jones has a dirty dancing complex. And what I mean by that is nobody puts Jerry Jones in corner. Nobody puts Jerry Jones in the corner. So I got to be front and center of everything. So his complex is a God complex. Like I say, it's the ego. Ego is what has destroyed most, I would say most championship teams after a while. If not Father Time, then ego.
That's how it goes. And Dallas hasn't been a championship team since '96, and that's the bad part about it. They're destroyed, and you can't even say they're a championship team. Yes, they have championships, and they can always be known as a team who has won 5 championships, which is a good thing. But in the infamous words of Miss Janet Jackson, "What have you done for me lately?"
And
that's nothing.
What have you done for me lately? All right. Well, that's what we have to say about this new coach, Brian Schottenheimer, coming to the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome, I think.
Enjoy your 1 year. Enjoy your 1 year if that's all you're gonna get, dude. Because I think he's just gonna be there 1 year. It's gonna be your 1 year. Like I said earlier, it's gonna be the equivalent of a Kofi Kingston title run.
Dang, really?
Hold it for now. Of a Damian Priest title run. Hold it for now until CM Punk comes. Hold it for now until my star comes. Till Seth Rollins comes. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I think he'll get at least 3 years. I think he'll get it because the first year is gonna be like, Jerry Line, it's his first year. He don't know what he's doing the first year, so you got to give him grace. So we're looking forward to maybe making the playoffs next year. I know we didn't make it this year. Maybe we'll make it next year. So, I'll see you next year. He'll get the second year. Probably depends on how far he goes into the season. If he's a 500 team or if he makes the playoffs and get put out in the first round. Oh yeah, I'll give him one more year. I don't know. I give him at least 3 years. He's got to give Jason Witten some time to get his feet wet as assistant coach and learn, and then he'll make him the coach. But maybe we'll see. We'll do some bets on it.
We'll see, and we can only pray and hope at this point.
All right. Well, that has been the last rewind for today. I'd like to thank y'all for joining us. For me, Big Red, and Tremaine. Please make sure to smash the like button and subscribe. And when you go out there, make sure you be kind and rejoin us on the last rewind. Y'all guys have a good day. Peace.